So we understand what anticipation is. If we were playing chess, for example, we would be busy anticipating our opponent's next moves and working out defenses. But what does anticipation mean for a driver? How does this skill play into our ability as a professional driver? So this video is just going to look at that skill of anticipation. We're going to look at ways of improving our observation in order to take in more information and then being able to anticipate things that might happen. We're also going to run through some thinking strategies that we can develop as a driver that will prepare us for those unusual eventualities that one day may well play out, and we may well have had an accident had we not anticipated it and been ready. So one of the keys in anticipation is not just to predict that something might happen or to assess the possibility of that thing happening, but to be prepared to avoid that in the first place, or to be ready to take evasive action to avoid that incident. So anticipation is very much a skill of the mind, using all of our other senses and pulling all that information together so that we can act on it. So what does anticipation mean in terms of driving? So observation and anticipation is very much like a game of chess. In a game of chess, you're working 2 or 3 moves ahead of your opponent. And when it comes to driving, it's no different. You really want to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of every other car on the road. And to do that, you really need to be good at observing the cars up ahead, around you, and building up a picture of what the drivers are like, what their motivations are. Are they on holiday? Are they an inexperienced driver? Are they in a particular hurry? And developing that skill where we can almost psychically know what other drivers are going to do before they actually do it. And that can save us from getting into a lot of trouble or accidents on the road. So part of the anticipation skill that you build up is being ready to take evasive action. So as you're approaching a junction, you notice there's a car at the side and they've not particularly observed you. You've not made eye contact with them, or they just look like they're dithering about a little bit. If there's a chance that they're going to pull out in front of you, move your hand over the horn. Be ready to sound the horn. The horn is a warning. It's not something you use after the event to say that someone has just been an idiot or done something silly. The horn is there to prevent accidents, not to vent anger on other motorists. And flashing of the lights is exactly the same. It's a warning. It's telling other cars that you are here. Most people use a flash of the lights to just indicate that you're waiting, that it's clear for them to pull through. But in reality, the horn and the lights are a warning that you are there on the road, and it's alerting other motorists to that fact. So do we strategize as we're driving along? So you notice something up ahead. Have you built up a clear picture of where you can swerve? Is there a clear bit of road to the left or to the right? Is there some other place that you can actually take evasive action? Is the road even wide enough for you to make a third lane or to get out of the way of trouble? So by continually building up these strategies on how you would react if something untoward happened, eventually this becomes an automatic process. Your brain just takes over with this strategizing. So you as a driver have experienced every possible scenario, and you've developed a strategy to actually get around it and avoid the problem. So when you're on a country road, for example, and you go down a sweeping left-hand bend, you might move your body to the right, and that'll give you a little bit of a further view into the apex, into the bend that you're taking. Those few extra split seconds can make a difference to being able to take evasive action or crashing into someone or something. So another key when driving is to just think of a bubble around the car, a protective bubble. So as you pass say, a junction on the left, you want to move slightly over to the right and give yourself the maximum amount of bubble between you and the hazard. As your speed increases, you need more of a bubble in front of the car. In the UK, we had a safety campaign quite a few years back. The catchphrase of that safety campaign was "only a fool breaks the 2-second rule." And the idea was that you find a little marker in the road ahead, wait for the car in front of you to pass that marker, and then say "only a fool breaks the 2-second rule," which apparently takes exactly 2 seconds to say. And that will give you an indicator of your correct distance for that given speed. So whenever we're driving along, we should always be looking out for escape routes, pavements with low curbs that maybe we can move the car onto should something come for us. Little additional lanes off to the right or to the left may also afford an escape opportunity. So I'm also looking at the quality of of the road surface, we get a lot of potholes, and that can be very problematic to drive on. Braking is severely reduced when you're braking on pothole surfaces as the ABS cuts in. Once again, I'm keeping a distant view up ahead so that I can anticipate any oncoming traffic. I'm looking for little gaps in the hedges that may afford a view of the road that I won't get at other times. I've just spotted a cyclist up ahead of me, so I'm not going to go round him because this is a sharp bend, so I need to slow right up, move out to the outside part of my lane so that I'm in a position to overtake him safely. If he were to fall off, he has plenty of space to fall into. So as soon as I'm round the bend and I can see that the road is clear ahead, I'll pop over into the other lane, move round him and move swiftly back onto my side of the road. You never quite know what's going to be coming around the corner, so you don't want to spend too much time on the wrong side of the road, or at least leave yourself a wide margin of error should the worst happen and you need to move back onto your side of the road. If there's hedges to your left, they present quite a hazard really. The debris and bits of branch that may fall off of them can fall into the road surface and degrade your braking or your grip. But also you don't ever want to swerve into a hedge or a tree. They don't move very well. They're not very flexible. Your car will definitely come off worse. So oncoming cars, keep in mind that oncoming cars may not be in full control of their car. They could be swerving into your lane or losing control. So if that happened, I would already have in my mind escape routes. I can either do an emergency stop, I can pull over to the right and occupy the space that they were in. You never quite know what's around the corner, and in this case we've got a bus sweeping in. I've braked quite hard early on, peeling off as much speed as I can to give the bus as much room as possible. He's blocking the main carriageway so I can make swift progress onto the main road, so I pull back out onto the main road and I can carry on. So very much when driving in towns or in urban areas, you need to think about those escape routes. What could happen? What is the worst case scenario? And already have in your mind some kind of defense, some place to go, some course of action you can take, moving your foot over the brake pedal so you are ready to get the car under braking momentum. Using your lights, your horn as well will give advance warning to those other cars who maybe not have noticed you or maybe blissfully unaware that you were there as they drift into your lane. So now we've discussed country driving, let's think about the unique problems and situations we get into in urban driving in towns in heavy traffic. When you anticipate the traffic flow, you can actually help to keep that traffic flow moving swiftly and freely through the towns and avoid many of the jams, delays and holdups that we get. So a good driver keeps the traffic moving. The traffic is very much organic, so the slight touch of a brake pedal is accelerated as you go back in cars, with each subsequent car braking harder and harder until the traffic comes to a complete standstill. And that's where you start ending up with long traffic jams. It's purely down to the weight of traffic and the fact that these brake pedals have been accelerated. So try to avoid using your brake pedal in traffic. Use the gears, change down a gear slightly, give yourself plenty of distance between you and the car in front so you can absorb some of those brake shocks that people do in traffic. And again, you'll keep the traffic moving. You'll notice that a lot of HGV drivers or lorry drivers are well trained and they will try to keep rolling. They will generally leave a massive distance between them and the car in front, primarily because it's a real pain going through the gears to get these lorries moving again. But that also has the beneficial effect of keeping the traffic moving. When you're in town areas, there's often a situation where drivers look out for themselves and they're all trying to make forward progress, and that results in a jam. By looking ahead and anticipating, it may be the case that by holding back, you can allow someone through and free up the piece of road that you want to occupy, and you'll be keeping the flow of traffic going. And sometimes even rolling backwards will allow that opportunity for someone to get through and for you to free up the flow of traffic. So don't think of yourself as just you in your car. Think of yourself as an organic block of traffic. As an advanced driver, you are keeping that traffic flow moving. So I hope that's been useful to you. Please boot that like button. We've got more on driving coming soon. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We'd love you to stay tuned to all the tips that we've got coming out. And I've lined this video up for you that you should find really interesting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in this next video.